Hey there guys, so I am very excited because I have some hatchling Sulcata tortoises. So in this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about these little guys and show you the new enclosure that I am building to grow out these babies. So if that is something you are interested in, you want to stick around, that's going to be coming up right after this. Hey there guys, this is Jack over at Hi Redbird, where I am tirelessly working to find new ways to make the keeping of exotic animals and pets more exciting, more affordable, and ultimately more enjoyable. And in today's video, I wanted to showcase for you guys, I have some baby Sulcata tortoises. And as you can see, these guys are absolutely tiny. These guys just hatched out in the incubator. Now, Sulcata tortoises are going to hatch out from eggs that are roughly the size of a ping pong ball. And to give you guys an idea of just how young these tortoises are, they're only a couple of weeks old, you can still see where their yolk sac was attached. Now, once that yolk sac is fully absorbed, I will go ahead and treat that with a little bit of betadine. So that's going to be, oh, thank you, we're going to go to the bathroom. That, of course, is going to be one of the defensive mechanisms that baby tortoises are going to do. They don't have much they can do, but they can go to the bathroom on you. And believe it or not, most predators are going to absolutely hate that. But so you can see that that umbilical site is still a little bit visible. It is flush with the shell, but it is still a little bit visible. And you can even still see a little bit of where the creases are on the plastron, or the under part of the shell. Now, believe it or not, a tortoise like this doesn't fit like this in the egg. So these guys are actually going to be folded in half. They look almost like a fortune cookie, just bent at an angle to get that shell to hatch, or to get that shell to fit inside the egg. So once they hatch, they're going to spend their first day or so straightening that shell out. So that's why they will hatch with such a prominent yolk sac still available, because they need to have that energy to fully straighten out that shell. Now, the shell is still reasonably soft. Sulcata tortoises are eventually going to grow to be the third largest species of tortoise in the world, but when they're this size, it can be a little bit hard to believe that. Now, for the first year of life or so, these guys can be a little bit delicate. Again, that shell is not very rigid at all, and they can just be they can be very susceptible to a wide variety of environmental stresses. Now, once they hit about a year and a half, these guys are going to be pretty much indestructible, but there are a couple of things that you want to keep in mind. These guys can be very sensitive to external stresses. One of the things I have found that they do really well with is having access to natural sunlight. So that's why it was really important for me to build a grow out enclosure for these guys so that I could get them outside and get them exposed to natural sunlight as much as possible. So we're going to showcase this enclosure in just a second. You also want to make sure you monitor their diet. These tortoises, they're going to be getting greens, pellets, several times a week. You want to make sure you avoid things like fruits, really sugary, really rich vegetables. These guys can actually have a little bit of a problem with that. They'll develop pyramiding of their shell, which means each of these individual scutes that you see will start to raise up. They'll look like spikes. And that's actually a pretty bad sign. It means that the animal is not getting appropriate nutrition. But for me, one of the best things I have found in conjunction with that appropriate diet is, again, making sure they can get natural sunlight. No matter how nice the light bulbs are that you use for your tortoises or turtles, there is absolutely nothing that can compete with natural sunlight. And I have seen some reptiles recover from some truly devastating injuries just because of exposure to natural sunlight. It really is the absolute best thing you can do. So even if you just had something like this and it was unfinished, like this one is right now, this is not the finished product at all. As you can see, it is open to the top. So obviously I'd have to be worried about things like predators. But if you just had something like this, you wanted to get your tortoise outside for half an hour a week, that half an hour a week is still going to be better for them than not getting it. So getting your tortoise as much natural sunlight as possible is going to be a really good thing that you can do. Now for this enclosure, there are a couple of finishing things that I want to do, but I just want to walk you through how I built this. So this is just going to be 2x4 legs. I built this a little bit less than 4 feet tall. And the reason for that these legs they come from studs that were 8 feet long. So by making them, I want to say they're about 47 inches. That way I could ensure that even if I was off by 1/4 of an inch, I could get all of the legs to be the same. So there's 47-inch 2x4 sections on each. They're just joined together at a 90-degree angle. So that is the first measurement you need if you wanted to build something like this. You just need to know how tall you want this enclosure to be. The reason I wanted this to be right around 4 feet tall is that I can reach into this entire enclosure without having to bend. And when you start taking care of a wide variety of animals, you realize the things that you can do to make it easier on yourself, not having to bend, not having to lift, really do make all the difference in the world. So the next measurement you're going to need if you wanted to build something like this is just going to be one of the side walls. So for that, I am going to do this short side. This is right around 2 feet wide. So that's going to be 3 boards there. That's 5/4 board on this side, 3 5/4 boards on this side, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 5/4 boards of the exact same measurement on the bottom to form this platform. And then you're just going to need whatever size this is. And so here, these are about 3 feet long. So it's about a 2 foot by 3 foot enclosure. And if you do the boards and then your side where you have the bottom, all of those slats the same measurement. If you do those sides first, then do this side, when you get around, you can flip it over, and these short boards are going to be the perfect size for blocking out this enclosure. So I'm going to bring you a little bit closer because I want to show you a couple more things about this enclosure. All right, guys, so again, I'm just going to show you real quick. You build these 2x4 legs. They're just at a 90-degree angle. Then your first side, that's what you put in first. So you can see it is flush with the 90-degree angle on the legs. Then you'll put in your second side. So that is going to be right here. You can see that it's pushed out a little bit because of this board right here. So that means that when you attach your baseboards, you'll flip this over, you'll attach your baseboards to these walls, and they should fit perfectly with those sides. Now, another thing I want to point out, I did bracing on the sides, but I didn't do it at the front and the back. This enclosure is reasonably sturdy. I have pretty good luck. As long as you keep the longest measurement under 4 feet, you don't really need too much more bracing. If I was to make this any longer than 4 feet, I'd probably want to include some bracing at the front as well. But the reason that I have this like this is that I can now take a wheelbarrow, run it right under there. That's going to make it incredibly easy to clean this enclosure. You could also do something like that if you wanted to use storage under this enclosure. So to finish up this enclosure, I am going to be including a roof on top of this enclosure. So it'll be a hinged roof. It's going to have 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch wire mesh. That's going to make it predator proof. Now if you look inside at the slats, you'll notice I gave them a little bit of space. Now I am not worried about that being enough space for the tortoises to get through. They are already still too big for that. But since this is going to be an outdoor enclosure, and since we are smack in the middle of hurricane season, which means we do have a potential for very heavy rain, I wanted to make sure that the spacing on these slats was enough that any rain that falls into here can quickly fall through. Now, to accommodate that so that pests can't get in there, I'm going to do a little bit of wire at the bottom and then probably some landscape fabric to then hold a substrate of some organic topsoil and sand, and that'll make that a really nice environment for these guys. And then, of course, this is untreated lumber, so I am going to have to go through and weatherproof this as well. But this is a really, really simple enclosure. It's a basic design that you don't need legitimate measurements for. You basically build it to the size you want it to be. And you need 3 measurements. You need the leg measurements. You need one side, which is also going to be your base measurements. And then you need the other side. So it's incredibly easy to do, especially when you have a roof on it. You can put in things like baby chicks. You can raise pigeons. You can raise all manner of things in an enclosure like this. A wide variety of reptiles. And if you don't want to put a roof on it, if you wanted to put something like this in your garage or somewhere where it's going to be more sheltered, you could build something like this and it would be completely safe for tortoises or turtles without the roof on it. So I did just want to show you guys this enclosure that I'm building for these baby Sulcata tortoises. All right, guys, now I do just want to point out, a lot of people think they want a baby Sulcata tortoise, but these guys get very big very, very quickly. I mean, look at how quickly this tortoise has reached this size just as I've been recording this video. Okay, not quite. This is one of my adults, but they almost grow this fast. In just a couple of years, they can be large enough and strong enough to knock over most fences. And obviously you can see a tortoise like this guy right here. His name is going to fit in that enclosure. He's going to need a custom built yard. I want to point out that this guy is not full grown. You'll also notice, looking at his shell, he may never be full grown. He has that pyramiding that I was talking about. We actually got him as an adult. Whew. And he is not exactly a small tortoise. Right now he is somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 50 pounds, depending, of course, on the last time he went to the bathroom. Thankfully, it wasn't on me, so I'm very, very happy for that. But Sulcata tortoises get very big very quickly. They are incredibly strong. A tortoise like Tank right here, I have seen him move tables that have had 200 to 300 pounds of items on top of the tables. So if you're wanting to get one as a pet, that is definitely something you want to keep in mind. But they are really interesting animals. So I wanted to show you guys that baby Sulcata tortoise. I wanted to show you guys the enclosure that I am building for them. If you've ever been wondering what you can do to easily build an enclosure for an animal like that, this is a really simple solution. And I certainly hope that helps you guys if that is something you've been looking for. So I do want to thank you guys for watching this video. I certainly hope it helps. But I've got to head out because I've got some cages to clean. And oh, I got to catch my breath because the tortoises are getting heavier or I'm getting older. And I'm not sure which one it is. But I will see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.